This is probably the most important tab, and on the consignor main screen, you'll be using this quite a bit. The purpose of this screen is as you receive new items in, you add them in this application by starting out by putting the date of the actual item that's come into the consignment. You would go ahead and type in the actual name of the item. If you want to add a further description of it, you would add some more notes in this area about that item. Keep it kind of small up here so it's easy to identify when you're picking the item on an invoice as far as the length of the data. In this case, this one's almost a little too long. It'd be an oak table 6 foot, and with leaf you could put /W leaf, and that way you would have something that would be easy to see on the invoice and understand. The next thing you're going to want to do on this, if you're adding a new record, is make sure that you're in the right consignor and the right ID. You can see the name of the consignor and their ID. At the top, you'll see where they've actually got sales to the point of $268 at this point. When you're first putting the item in, I'll explain the field from left to right. The consignor quote is what the consignor requested for you to sell their product at, their item. This is a number you put in here. Now you can use it if you want to. If you're buying your own items, you could put the item price that you paid for it and then what you want to sell it for and the item sell price. This is not an editable field here. This is automatically added by the computer when you add a new record. This area down here and over here is actually information that is filled in during the process of setting up the record. You would probably never have a sold price in here, and the status would depend on what you are actually doing as far as the transaction. At the current time, what is this record status? In that record, there's also a different screen called the status, and what this does is you can actually come in here and edit what is in the status items and add your own. You would click new, you would type in the new item, and then you would click new again to add another new item, and you can scroll to see all the items in here. The purpose of this is so that you can build a list of item statuses that you want to assign to the consignment record itself. These are very important in that you can have, for example, for sale, for a new item that has no information other than the listing of it. Once it's sold, it'll look like the record we're looking at now where the actual item is sold and it has information about the sales of the item. Now, some of these options are not set up initially on the record because you have a choice. For example, if you sell an item or going to sell an item, you list it as the sell item price, and then you have the option of leaving the sell price in the record like you see down here in this record, where there's not a breakdown of discounting over that record over a period of time. What this is telling you is that you're going to sell this at the same price no matter when it sells. Up here, you want to discount it after a certain period of time. So you may do a 10, 20, or 30%. You can set these to whatever you want them to be. It could be 15, 30, and 60. It really depends on what you want to enter in the record itself. In this area, it'll automatically calculate the difference after 10% on 30, 60, 90, and 104 days. Now, the way that this is set up is the standard method of most consignment stores where they do a discount every 30, 60, or 90 days. Recall now I said down here, this person doesn't care. They're going to sell this item at whatever it sells for at whatever date it sells. Now, this is probably not a good practice because under your contract, this leaves an open-ended consignment where there's never an end date on it. You always want a contract for no more than a certain period of days. In this case, 104 gives you 90 days plus 15 days after that to have the client come back and pick up the item. If they do not pick it up in your contract, you should show that on the 104th day, the item is forfeited. And what you would do is you would show this as a forfeit item right here to the status, then reestablish a new record in your home records for your own account and move this item to your account as an item that you now own. So that should be very clear to you. Now, the next thing is that it'll automatically calculate the 30, 60, and 90 days and put those in here so you'll be able to see them. Later on, as you're looking in the other parts of this application, this information will be popped up on a pop-up so you can actually see it. And The information over here is the actual consignment paid date. That is done out of a report and then reflected back over here. And we'll show you how in a different screen video how that works. The commissions, both the store commission and the consignor commission, are set as a numeric number, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And then fees due consignor is where if you do a repair or you do something along that line, say for example you recon the item, you have to pay he has to pay a shipping fee to get it to the business, where you actually go pick it up. Or there's a sell plus fee. What that means is that there was something that you had to do that was an extra cost that was related to this. And what you would do is you take the price at which you're going to sell the item, and then what you're going to do is put that here, and as you add these fees to it, it's automatically going to deduct the commission to the consignor for that item. So this would probably be a fairly costly item where you're going to charge fees to it. You can have a number. The number of each is the number of items that are related to this thing that may be pieces to it. So if there are 3 items in this, or 2, or 1, whatever is included in the item, you want to make sure that you know how many items are in that each. This sum of fees will be reflected in this field when you sell the item. The consignor should have that amount of fees as you're working along, if you charge fees, in this field. That way it'll deduct it out of the consignor's commission. Okay, let's take a look at these 2 pop-ups. The pop-up, this one is used to set the commission rate. If you put in the decimal 0.4, that means 40%, and it'll automatically calculate the store commission to 60%. If you put in a 0 in here, it'll automatically put 100% to the store. When you do your fees due to consignor, they'll show up in this screen. They'll also show the commission paid to the consignor later when you have done the actual sale. It'll also show the actual sale amount. Now in some of these screens, some of these things are not going to be editable, and you cannot change them. So in some records I leave them open, and other ones I don't. Now since these are calculated or changed in this screen, you really can change them. It won't hurt anything to change them here if you want to pop this up and do that. But realize that these will be blank until you actually sell the item, these 3 fields here. That you wouldn't have a sale and a commission until it's actually sold. The next thing is you can take notes on the individual items, okay? If there's something about this thing where you did a recon or whatever, and or had something about the item as far as a problem with the consignor, or something about him coming in and picking up the item before it was done, you can close that out by putting the information in here and then changing the status on the item. Then it's no longer on the floor, or it is forfeited or whatever, as far as a donation or whatever. So those are the kind of things that you want to itemize here. This screen is fairly easy to use. If you're in the iPad, you would tap on this. It'll look different from this. It'll say insert from library instead of this is on a desktop version where it says insert picture. And in that particular case, you can pick it off the hard drive, or you can pick it off the iPad library in order to insert it into this area. Okay, now the portal button here. I'll cover this now as far as it takes you to the individual record portal. This is where, when you're in this record, you want to do finds. You cannot do a find in the portal records that I just came from, but you can do it in the individual portal record. And you can search on any field you're viewing in this screen except for probably the picture field. So you would want to go ahead and use this screen to go ahead and find the item you're looking for. This screen also has a pop-up, so if you want to return to the consignment where we were just at and go back to this, it's very easy to navigate around the screen. So if you have any questions about the consignment input screen, now go ahead and contact me, and recognize that each time you want to add a new one, you just scroll down and you go ahead and click in here, and it will add a new date, which starts the record, and this is the consignment date. Okay, if you have any questions, contact me on the support site. Thank you.